Welcome to a quick introduction and demonstration of the MetricStream Internal Audit application for high-performing organizations. To provide an engaging user experience and allows you to have a personalized experience within the application. So I can drag and drop and move things on my landing pages to tee up information in a way that's most relevant for me. This applications come packaged with a set of landing pages and roles that allows you to provide access control views into functionality that's available. Within each page has been organized to allow you to look up relevant information, and you can drill down into the details from any particular point. So you can drill down to look at the details of audits that have been performed of a certain type. And you can use frameworks like data explorers and hover cards to help you to get to additional information. So here's how I can look up information around the cash reconciliations audit. I can look at the auditable entities that were included, the work papers that were completed, the testing steps and risks and controls that were in scope. And I can also pull this information into a data explorer. From here, I can look at different controls. And I can pick any control that I'd like to analyze, like the one out here, bring it into focus, and look at the various other audits that this control has been included. For new users within the application, you have a take the tour function that allows you to get quick guidance about what you can do within the application. So that's a quick introduction into the M7 audit application. We'll now get into some of the other aspects about the application, like the ability to manage an audit universe, manage risk assessments, audit planning, resources, fieldwork, issue tracking, audit reporting. Here's an example of an auditable entity. This is how you can drill down to the record where the auditable entity is being managed, create and classify the entity, map it to various primary and impacted geographical regions and locations and business hierarchies, look at various risk assessments that have been completed, and also create the mapping with various risks and controls and processes that are relevant for the auditable entity. The application provides frameworks to bulk upload the audit universe data, risk assessments. The M7 audit application allows you to perform risk assessments on various auditable entities, and based on the risk rating of these entities, you can decide which entities you'd like to bring into the scope of your audit plans and your projects. This is how a risk assessment can be completed on an auditable entity, in this case, retail banking, home equity loans, and you have an option to rate different risks based on factors like impact and likelihood. Additional information can be captured about the effectiveness of controls, and residual ratings can be calculated automatically based on the strength of your control environment. Audit planning. Multiple audit plans can be created to cover various regions, the needs for various regions, various audit groups, and so on. These plans could be annual plans, it could be multi-year plans. And within the plan, you can define the scope of various auditable entities and projects that need to be audited. So here's how a plan can be created. Budgeted effort in terms of days and cost can be captured. Projects can be set up as a part of the plan. New projects can be created, and you can define the scope of what needs to be covered, which auditable entities, risks, and organizations need to be included in the scope. This could be based on their risk scores, could be based on the number of audits and issues, the last audit dates, and so on. The application provides an advisory view that provides guidance around whether an entity should be in the scope of an audit or the plan or not. And this is how you can look at the advisory view, select a particular entity, look at the risks and the details behind the entity, and determine which ones you'd like to bring into the scope of your plan. Projects that have been defined in the annual plan or the multi-year plan, as well as ad hoc projects that are created at different points in time, show up on a common dashboard, and audit managers and audit directors and lead auditors have the option to be able to create and trigger fieldwork assignments. You can also modify the audit scope. Dashboard becomes a central console to monitor various projects that have been created, various options that are available for an end user to create work papers, send issues and findings for review, create and manage your audit reports, generate your risk control matrix, manage resource requests, and so on. Key information about project like the title, the type of project, lead auditor, audit manager, related data, scope of the project, purpose, rationale, workflow configurations, milestones, information related to your key contacts and team members or distribution list can all be defined and managed. Resource management. Various resource pools can be created in order to group resources by region, so on, and requests can be made for resources within these resource pools from different projects, and a resource scheduler can be leveraged to help you to assign resources to these projects. So this is how you can look at various projects. This is where you can filter by various resource pools. You can also filter the auditor that needs to be assigned to support a request coming in from a project based on cost, language skills, German, Spanish, French, training, subject matter expertise, qualifications, and so on. Assigning a request is as simple as dragging and dropping a request to a particular auditor for a particular project. Fieldwork. As an auditor, I can log into the application to capture the results in various work papers that's been assigned to me. Typically, the application sends notifications to different team members with a deep link back into the application that takes them directly to the work paper that needs to be completed. Here's an example of a work paper that's been assigned to an auditor. This is a control test that needs to be formed on a cash reconciliation audit. In this particular work paper, you have the hierarchy of where the organization, the control is being tested, and there are quick links to take you directly to the part of the application of the work paper where you can rate your controls as effective from a design point of view and from an operating point of view, capture information about samples that were tested, how many passed, how many failed, respond to various testing procedures, attach files. After the results get captured, auditors can summarize their results and information about the work that was performed. They could cross-reference this work paper with other work papers that have been loaded, other documents and evidence that's been uploaded, create issues and findings. Multiple issues and action plans can be defined as a part of your work paper. This is how a finding can be documented as a part of an audit work paper, and auditors can capture the details or the description of the finding, provide a quick title, provide guidance about the dates by when it needs to be completed, classify a finding as high, medium, or low, essentially rate it, categorize it, link it to other findings that have been documented. In case an issue needs to be triggered, you can provide guidance about the organization that needs to own the issue and the organization and the user that needs to approve the issue. Based on the findings that are captured here, issues get triggered and actions get assigned. Auditors can also download their work papers onto a lightweight application that they can install on their laptops called Briefcase, which allows them to take their audit work papers and tasks and work offline and then synchronize it back when they're connected. You can also download your work papers into a mobile application, essentially a native mobile application. After you're done, you can also capture information about the time that you've spent on a particular work paper or across multiple audits across different work papers. So this is how you can take information about the time that you've spent on audit, training, and other non-audit activities, and enter that information into the time tracking application. Issue tracking. Issues and findings are captured in a work paper during the fieldwork stage in the audit, and these issues and findings can be sent for reviews to internal team members as well as the auditee in order to get their feedback about the management responses they intend to take. As an auditee, you'd be able to respond to these issues. Here's what the Oddity View looks like within the application. As an auditee, you'd be able to look at various issues that have been assigned to you and the actions that are open. You'd be able to respond to these issues. So here's how I can pick up an issue that's been sent to me as an auditee for review. And this is where I can provide feedback about the finding that's been documented in the work paper and provide some guidance about the management actions I intend to take. After these issues get reviewed and approved, this triggers the full-blown issue management and issue remediation workflow. And as a part of the workflow, additional metadata and information can be captured around the issue. So apart from the description and the title, you'd be able to further classify the issue, provide relationships with risks and controls and processes and key functions and so on, essentially providing guidance about the broader impact of the finding and the issue across the organization, guidance about what corporate objectives and technology objectives, for example, can be compromised, and you'd be able to define additional action plans, track and monitor action plans, and assign them out and farm them out to different team members for completion. And finally, review and approve all the action and the overall issue before you can bring about a closure. Audit directors and managers can monitor and track all open issues by rating, by priority, by ownership, and look at the ongoing collaboration and the comments that are being made by different stakeholders as they are participating in these issues. Audit reporting. Audit reports can be automatically generated from the application. As a part of the audit reporting activity, lead auditors or audit managers can select the issues or findings that they'd like to include in the report. They'd be able to provide an overall audit rating, provide an executive summary that captures the outline of the conclusions. They can decide whether they'd like to create a draft report and forward this for review and approval with the internal team members and key stakeholders, including the auditee, or they could decide to create a final report and automatically generate that report through a single click within the application. This is what the final report looks like. It's essentially a formatted document. It could be a Word or a PDF file that gets generated and would have the relevant information that should make its way back into an audit report that can be shared with key stakeholders like the audit committee, the board, and so on. So with that, we've come to the end of our demonstration. Thank you.